welcome to H2O Stream. My name is Sion and I'm the editor at H2O Global News, and I'm joined today by Henk Jan, a researcher at KWR Institute. Henk Jan, it's great to have you today.
Thank you, Sion.
So I think a great way to kind of kick off the conversation would be to briefly explain the work that you do at the Institute.
Yeah, thank you. So I work as a program manager at KWR, where I do the program management together with a colleague of the Water in the Circular Economy research program. And as a researcher, I focus on horizon scanning, future studies, governance, and serious games. Okay,
fantastic. And in the work that you do at the forefront of the water sector, in the researching the water sector, what are some of the water-related challenges facing water utilities in both the Netherlands and in Belgium?
So the main challenge, I think, at this moment is the availability of water in the broader sense. So we have drought issues, of course, when there's too little water, and we have issues with too much water. Particularly when there's a lot of rain or when the rivers are overflowing. So the availability of water is an issue. And we used to have a system in which we try to get rid of the water as quickly as possible, but now we have to learn to keep the water a little bit longer. But we also have quality issues. The water quality is below the levels that are mandated by the European Union. Okay. So this is an issue. We have new contaminants in the water that we have to deal with, like residual medicines, but also all kind of industrial waste products that end up in the groundwater systems. We have increasing water use, particularly in the dry periods. So these are the kind of challenges that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? And I think also with the droughts in Europe this last year, 2022, a lot of that was kind of brought to public attention. So in the research that you do, how is that helping utilities navigate these challenges and future-proof their operations?
So maybe the first thing to mention there is the horizon scanning that we do. So we try to create an early warning for challenges that lie ahead. For instance, we looked into our archives and we noticed that we had our first report about COVID in 2008. And eventually it came in 2019, and there we also see that you can be very early with noticing challenges, but they won't be picked up because you're too early. So the horizon scanning we use to see challenges before they become really big. So we follow, of course, all the climate science, but we also look at societal developments that may impact the way that we use water, or the amount of water that we use, or what we put in the water, so that it ends up in the environment. And next to that, we are thinking about, particularly in the circular economy research, we're thinking about new ways of delivering water, of using water in a more sustainable way and in a more circular way.
Okay. And previously, we've chatted before, and we spoke about the multi-value approach. What exactly is a multi-value approach, and what does it have to do with water?
So in a multi-value approach, we try to look at problems and solutions from a broad perspective. So instead of looking at efficiency, for instance, how can we make it a little bit more cheaper, or how can we make it a little bit more efficient? We look at what is the broader societal impact of what we do. And we try to take these multi-values, societal values, ecological values, and we try to make decisions and to support decisions in a way that societal value is maximized. instead of costs that are minimized, for instance.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
So we try to make sure that with the kind of solutions that we develop, we tackle more than one issue.
And I think that has a big focus there is you brought up social aspects and seeing it from not just the technological side, but also the people side of it, which is what it's all about, isn't it? Sustainability. Just on that note, do you think water management in general has focused enough on the social and governance aspects of ESG, environment, social, and governance in the past?
Well, it is strongly improving. Some years ago, the OECD wrote a report in which they talk about the awareness gap. And it is the gap between what really happens in the water sector and what people know about it. And this awareness gap was seen as an issue because to have, let's say, what we in the Netherlands call draagvlak, let's say societal support for what we do in the water sector, people need to be aware of what's going on. So we're improving in that respect. We do a lot of research focused on clients, on citizens. We even involve citizens in the research that we call citizen science.
Okay.
And we find that by being more open about what's in the water, what we do with the water, people actually get more understanding and also more, let's say, more sustainable mindset in that regard. So in the beginning, it was a little bit, should we tell everything about the water? Should we tell everything what's happening? Isn't it not better to just keep the people, just let us solve the issues and just keep the people trusted in the reliability of the system? But being more open about the issues also seems to help in that sense. And to give an example, the water utilities would regard their clients first a long time ago as connections. Okay. So they were connections, and now they're becoming clients and citizens, and we get a much better and broader view of their desires and of the way that they behave with regard to water.
That's fantastic. It's good to see the growth in that direction.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing, I mean, all these different actors together, you've got government, private sector, and as you say, the end user, the citizen. So how do you bring these people together? And what's your role in facilitating this collaboration?
So we try to bring them together through our research projects, but we try to connect the research projects to, let's say, implementation, let's say actual, we call it action. So we have knowledge and action. So this is a very natural way to bring people and organizations together. And we find that particularly at the level of the neighborhood, this works very well. Because a neighborhood is an area that is big enough for, let's say, the institutional players to worry about. Let's say the water utilities, the water boards, the municipalities. And it's small enough for individual citizens also to have an idea and have a say about, let's say, in a very participative way. So we find that in all sorts of projects at the neighborhood level, we can bring really these parties together, but also on the more on the national level, for instance, we have sometimes projects in which we talk about, let's say, broader strategic developments. We organize think tanks, and there also we're bringing the different institutional players together, and they have an open discussion about, let's say, the future issues. So it's always through these kind of projects that we try to get the discussion going.
Yeah, and I think that's key, isn't it, Henk-Jan, is really accelerating that conversation and bringing the awareness to all levels of society, which I think is going to be more and more important as we go forward. So just thinking about that and the broad picture, what are some of your hopes for the future of water management in your region?
Well, I hope that we are able to make the transition to a new way of dealing with water. Particularly in the Netherlands, we have a long tradition of water management. that always has been designed in a certain way, and now we have to make a transition to a more, let's say, societal multi-value approach. And we can make this transition in two ways. Basically, we can do it step by step and make a gradual transition towards a new system, or we can be too slow, and then there will be some sort of crisis, and we have to make a very rapid decision with rapid transition with maybe not so good consequences. So I hope that we can make this gradual, let's say, easy transition towards this new system.
Yeah, and it kind of brings us back to what you were saying about COVID and how, you know, the signs of it were years ago, but all of a sudden then we're in crisis because we didn't prepare for it. And I think, like you said, the way we interact with our environment as well, if we have this transition rather than waiting for it to become a crisis, prevention is better than a cure, isn't it? So, well, that kind of wraps up our discussion today. And I think what it leaves our viewers with is this impression of, I mean, not just the water challenges that you're facing in Netherlands and Belgium, who have often been pioneers in water management, but how those are kind of applicable to the challenges that we're facing across the world. And I think this idea of collaboration, isn't it, and bringing people together across all sectors of society, and the importance of research and the importance of institutes like KWR in facilitating that conversation. So thank you so much for joining me, Henk Jan, really appreciate it. And I'd just like to thank all of our viewers out there for tuning in today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.